Baffert is making a messier of the Derby preps. I got shivers listening to that song there. That's a touching moment there. Welcome to Trust the Profits. Here we are talking about Derby prep, and really we're talking about our top 25 horses leading up to the Derby on this day, February the 7th, 2022. I'm the Formula, joined by El Hombre. How's it going over there?
It's going good, and we're getting to the point where it's no longer way too early. That's been kind of the tagline up to this point, but now I think we're starting to see some of the real deals stepping up, and unfortunately, there's a lot of Bob Baffert talk, and a lot of his horses are looking like the cream of the crop.
Right.
Which makes this a very interesting, difficult / annoying thing to live through, actually.
Did you say the cream of the crop?
Yeah, the cream and the clear of the yeah, exactly. So first of all, my take on this whole thing, because I know everybody's talking about, we post videos throughout the week. We posted some last week, and everybody just wants to talk about are any of these horses going to make it into the Derby? And I think some of them will, but it's a really annoying, because at this point you saw Messier, who looked like an all-world Baffert. Granted, it was a short field, and he, whoever he, maybe
not
he
the most stacked
anybody,
field, yeah.
But he did run away like a classic Baffert horse does, and it looked really, really strong, especially compared to some of the other races we've seen so far.
Yeah.
There isn't any standouts. There is no top three. There is no Justify this year. There is no, but my point is that the Baffert situation is basically holding the industry hostage right now, because you've got 2 or 3 of the best, according to our top 25, 2 or 3 of the top 10 to 15 horses are Bafferts.
Yeah.
And we hope to see them go into a barn trained where they can actually play, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen to me. It's hard to say. We're leaving them in the lineup for now, the top 25, but
it's weird, because it's a game of chicken that Baffert and the owners of those 3 horses are playing with Churchill Downs right now. Right? They're playing a game of chicken to see who's gonna flinch first and either allow those horses to run or change them to a different barn. Right? I think Baffert's probably thinking, hey, as long as I keep running and winning, they're going to have to allow these horses in. Otherwise there's going to be public outcry. But on the other hand, Churchill's probably saying, go off, get your no points, keep getting first place. We don't care. We'll run without you, period.
I really think that Churchill's not going to flinch.
I don't think so
It's
either.
time to move the horses.
Yeah.
I mean, and we'll get into the list more, but the 2 or 3 of these horses really deserve a shot to be in this. Otherwise, I think it's cheating the industry and the fans out of seeing some of these horses run, because, again, this is a balanced top 25. It's not like last year where you really could sum it up with 4 or 5 horses that we liked a lot. It's not like that this year at all.
I feel like within the top 10, it's hard to point at one horse that looks like a favorite. I mean, we all have our favorites, but I think in the top 10, neither one of us would be shocked if any one of those horses won the Derby right now.
No.
And here we are with 11 through 25.
And we've got some prep winners in 11 through 25 here. You'll see Call Me Midnight. We way down there early voting that won the Withers over the weekend at Aqueduct, but not the most impressive fashion.
Yeah.
Looking at 11 through 25, does anybody stand out? Well, first, let's talk about one thing. Who's dropped off of this list recently? Jack Christopher comes to mind. That's the biggest name.
Unfortunate, yeah. Jack Christopher dropped off the list. Injuries, not being in shape for the Derby at this point in the season, where his trainer thought that he would be ready to go. We just keep hearing reports. Chad Brown, I believe, is the trainer. Is that right? Just keep hearing reports time after time in interviews where it sounds like he's not on track. So we thought it made sense to drop him off the list. I think a number of other people are dropping him off the list. Like the margin that he has, or the percent chance that he has of running in the Derby at this point, I think is single-digit percentages, right? We're not thinking he's going to be running. And even if he was, he's one of those horses that I don't think he's even done a 2-turn race yet. So, again, it's more reason to believe that he's not going to be Derby ready, even if he did have some sort of healthy comeback.
some of our commenters on YouTube's favorite horse, Giant Game, who just butchered us over last week.
Yeah.
Many of the people on our team at Trust the Profits can attest to the fact that Giant Game got us more butchered than anybody. Didn't show up over the weekend, just like we said he wouldn't. Off the top 25 list, probably off the Derby trail, along with Tiz the Bomb and Happy Jack are a couple other notables. Anybody else that comes to mind for you?
No, those were the big ones. I mean, Giant Game was the big one. It came in third at the BC Juvie. He was running in high 90s in terms of Equibase figures, so I understood having him on the list. I didn't understand having him as a top horse, though. To me, if you're going to finish third in the BC Juvie, maybe that's worth some points, but you really got to show a lot more than that. You got to be like a Hot Rod Charlie from last year or something like that, where you're really pushing the envelope in some of these other stakes races, and we just didn't really get a feel of that from Giant Game at all. I'm not even sure why he was on HRN's top horse for the Derby chase the last couple weeks, but you know, some people were high on him. We weren't that high on him, enough to put him maybe in our teens, but major drop off for him. Tiz the Bomb, I'm disappointed by, because every time you get one of these turf monsters, you always think, okay, maybe this is the one that breaks through. And I thought Tiz the Bomb, thought he had a pretty good pedigree. I thought he could have gotten through, but here we are talking about him not faring very well in the race over the weekend.
Another disappointment for me was Moe Donegal. Finished third in the Holy Bull, and that was the toughest of the three preps over the weekend.
Holy Bull.
So not an embarrassing effort. Still maintains we've got him at 11, which is about fair to me. I think he's still very much on the trail. Needs a bounce back after that.
Yeah, to be honest with you, maybe I'm going to get butchered in the comments for this, but the Holy Bull, I thought the competition was actually pretty strong at the Holy Bull. I saw a lot of people on Twitter saying it was bad, but I looked at the lineup and there were like 6 horses that I thought were decent, and
bad compared to what? Because this is not years, like in recent years there's been these dominant standouts, and there just isn't anywhere. I don't think any of these preps are going to have anyone that stands out wildly, except maybe Smile Happy eventually, but right now we're just trying to figure out the roster. I mean, yeah, it's easy to say, but okay, so the Holy Bull wasn't tough, so what does that make the Withers? Because the Withers looked like it was wide open. It was a fun betting
race.
JV,
yes.
Fun betting race, but I don't think anybody in that thing's even worth noting to talk about. We have the winner of the Withers at 21. And I personally, just because it's 0 degrees Celsius in the frozen tundra of Aqueduct in the frickin' February. That in itself probably makes it a little more difficult for these guys to run a big number, but I don't know. I think people are letting the fact that there is no standouts and no wildly talented, speed like last year there was 2 or 3 that stood out big time. There is none of that, so it's easy to look at the Holy Bull didn't have a whole lot of talent. Well, maybe there just isn't a whole lot of talent in this whole crop, which is not really fair to say yet, but I don't know. Out of the 3 this past weekend, the Holy Bull was definitely the most stacked.
Yeah. And if we're going to talk about who's on this list right now, I think an interesting one coming up here is Major General. I think that's one that was high on a lot of people's lists early on, won the Iroquois months and months back. Haven't heard from him since. Looks like he's on the trail for the Fountain of Youth. So hopefully we're going to be seeing within the next month Major General again. At one point, probably on a lot of people's top 10 lists. I think he was even in my top 5 for a while, but just lack of activity made me drop him down.
Yeah, not quite sure what's going on there, but yeah, it's a little bit. Pletcher's looking, especially with Moe Donegal not looking that wonderful this past weekend. Pletcher looks a little dodgy compared to normal.
Yeah.
But I don't know. You want to drop into anybody else we want to talk about? We've seen
let's do it.
We've seen some of these others.
Yeah.
Nothing Epicenter and Command Performance. Nothing. I mean, I don't think anybody's standing out that's going to win the Derby out of this 11 through 25. I think the top 10 has got the notables.
There might be a recovery from Epicenter. He had a really good.
Yeah, he wasn't bad.
Yeah, he had a real good workout recently, running like a 1 minute 5 furlong. I could see him bouncing back. Asmussen's got a pretty strong stable, at least in that second tier, so he could end up bouncing up again, rebounding, having a good turnaround. Let's go though. We've got
Newgrange at number 10. Bob Baffert again. We've highlighted the Baffert horses in red because we don't know what the hell is going on.
Yeah.
But dude, I mean, come on. I mean, like you said, what are the owners doing? This is a once in a lifetime opportunity for some of these connections to get into the Derby and have a horse. And this is the first of 3 that we're going to mention in the top 10. I'm just spoiler alerting you.
Yeah.
There's 3 in the top 10, and they're all. I mean, Newgrange didn't blow anybody's head off with his victory, but he did win the Southwest. Which, look, I mean, this is not the most spectacular crop ever. So to count any of these horses out in this, 10 through 15 range is crazy.
It's wide open. Anyone in this top 10 could win it this year.
Yeah, it's a joke.
Right. And I'm
with
you on that.
It's good for betting, and it's good for gamblers to talk about. It's fun.
Right.
But at the same time, the Baffert thing's throwing a hitch in all of it. So
yeah, for sure.
Come on, figure it out, somebody.
Yeah, Newgrange won the Southwest Stakes. It wasn't a performance like we've seen some Messier's other 2 horses where. Sorry, I got ahead of myself. Baffert's other 2 horses where they just blew away the pack and down the stretch were just putting lengths and lengths between them.
Messier looking like charlatan out there.
Messier looking like charlatan, exactly. Brought back some charlatan memories.
Downhill.
Yeah. Slow Down Andy turned it on Messier at the Los Almanitos Futurity a few months back, which made me think that maybe Messier wasn't the horse we had him cut out to be.
But you know what Messier reminded me of? Messier reminded me of late career Barry Bonds, where his skull started expanding out the helmet, started hitting 4,500-foot bombs out of the frickin' San Francisco Bay.
They have to build new blinkers for him to fit over his head, right?
Yeah, opposite field, 500-foot bombs on a frickin' curveball. Stupid.
Right. Yeah, horse didn't stop running. Yeah, Newgrange, third for me in terms of Baffert's horses. The least impressive, but at the same time, still won the Southwest Stakes. Still looking impressive, but just, 10th place.
And believe me, if we could not talk about Baffert ever again, I would just be happy. The dude's worse than AIDS. He's the human Hitler. He's the horse racing Hitler. White-haired Hitler, whatever I want to call him. He sucks. He's bad for the sport. It's time to ditch him. I don't want to talk about it anymore, but we have to because look he's got 3 of the top 10 here. Let's move. This is all you.
This is all me.
Emmanuel.
Pletcher's
joint. Go ahead. What are we seeing on this thing?
Yeah, Emmanuel broke his maiden at Gulfstream, ran a 96 Equibase speed figure, turned around, ran, I think it was last week in an allowance race, and beat the field in that too by like a good 4 or 5 lengths. So this is another horse here from Pletcher. Saez was riding him, had great things to say about him. I think he rode the allowance race in a mile or maybe a mile and 70 yards, something like that. Had the 1 lane and just took it all the way in, pretty much wire to wire. So this is another impressive horse from Pletcher. If it's not Moe Donegal, maybe it's Emmanuel. Maybe it's one of the other horses we talked about, like Major General. But Emmanuel's definitely making some noise now. I'm trying to remember which
Fountain of Youth would be the.
I think it's Fountain of Youth that they might end up putting him in.
I don't know
but
why
this
they
is
haven't
Florida
committed
horse.
to anything yet, which is a little bit alarming at this point. But we'll see.
Yeah, they were testing him out to see if he was worthy of putting him into one of these races. That's what I heard. Early February timeframe is they were testing him out to see if he would be a horse that they could put into something like the Fountain of Youth. So I imagine he will be in either that or maybe like the Tampa Bay Derby or one of these Florida races to prep for the Derby.
Number 8, we got the San Vicente winner, Forbidden Kingdom by American Pharaoh.
Yes.
And he is going to the San Felipe next.
Yeah.
What's happening here? This is there's a good story on this. We talked to one of our boys at Triple Clowns. He had some inside scoop on this deal. We'll get into that another time. We'll probably have him on, Randy, one of these days to talk about this because it's a good story about exactly what Baffert kind of deserves here. So Richard Mandela, the trainer here, Forbidden Kingdom 8. Again, that was another California prep with 5 horses in it.
Yeah.
It sucks. I mean,
and that was one.
You got Baffert murdering horses for a decade. Go ahead.
And there were 3 Baffert horses out of that field of 5 or 6 and it was prepping to be one of those races, the San Vicente, that we thought, okay, which Baffert horses are going to be, and I put my hat in the ring and said it was going to be Doppelganger, and your buddy Randy, he was coming out and saying this is going to be the Mandela race, this is going to be the Forbidden Kingdom. Here we are, Forbidden Kingdom, and he said he's beaten 8 Baffert horses so far. It's pretty funny. This horse must be getting Baffert's profile tattooed on its ass every time he beats a horse, right?
It's great to see. Number 7, we got Zandon by Chad Brown. Second, the Remsen heading to the Risen Star, which the Risen Star is so stacked, it's absolutely absurd.
Yeah. Risen Star is going to be a fun one. Zandon, last time we saw him, he was like nose hairs away from Moe Donegal at the Remsen. That was a really good race. 2 really strong horses came out of that. Don't always see that at the Remsen, but we definitely saw it this time around. So we still have Zandon right here where we would expect him to be, right here where we hope he would be. I'd rather say here. Well, Moe Donegal did drop down for us.
We'll learn a lot about Zandon here in a couple weeks. The Risen Star. That's going to be a big one.
Yeah,
definitely the biggest one to date. 6, we got Messier, and again the Baffert. You see the pink highlight there.
Yeah.
Probably should be higher at this point because of that just absolute walkaway at the Robert B. Lewis Stakes. But I mean, come on, dude. I mean, and he's got my boy Empire Maker.
Yep.
On the side. I love this horse, but I mean, dude, what is happening here? So again, I don't want to get into it. I'm done. But it looks like a great horse, and it's easily the most impressive win of the year so far.
Yeah, just purely because of the distance. And I was hoping to see another horse won. I thought when we saw Slow Down Andy beat Messier a few months back at Los Al, I thought maybe, okay, this isn't the horse that Baffert's lining up for the Derby, or isn't the one in his mind he's lining up for the Derby. But what we saw from him this past weekend, I don't know. That's a lot of distance. That's a lot of lengths between him and the next horse. So we'll see.
Now these owners got to get creative and find a way in here.
Yeah.
White Abarrio, number 5.
Ooh. Yeah.
Holy Bowl winner, impressive. Safi, the Human Man Bun, got it done. That looks like the best horse he's ever had as far as Derby contenders go.
Tyler Gaffleone as well, right?
Yeah, baby.
Yeah.
We're going to the Florida Derby next. That horse looks like he's got some. He's got to be one of the top few you're talking about here. Obviously, we've got him respected here. He doesn't have the Baffert umbrella hanging over his head. White Abarrio. By the way, Trust the Profits, our show with Dennis Trusty and Vinny. They nailed it. Especially Dennis nailed White Abarrio. We had him personally too. Looked great all season leading up to this. Looked great in this race. Legit. You're going to see, like we said, it's so balanced. It's hard to call right now, but he looks good.
And honestly, I thought that was a good field that he beat too. I mean, Moe Donegal, Simplification. We're talking about the unknown factor with Tiz the Bomb. There were a couple others in there that I thought were good competition. So for him to win the way he did with a little bit of distance between him and Simplification, I thought it was a pretty solid win and a good statement for White Abarrio. And hats off to Joseph and Gaffleone on that one. Yeah,
and honestly, like you said, people were killing that race a little bit, like the lack of talent. That's 3. That's the 3, probably 3 minimum 3 of the best 5 or 6 that we've seen all year. So
yeah,
go after yourself if you didn't like that field.
And I'm not sure who you're looking for if you didn't see anything good in that race. That was probably as good as we've seen from a lot of the stakes races last year leading up to the Derby.
What do you want, Baffert to bring Justify out with a freaking bottle of juice jammed up its ass? What do you guys want?
I mean, that was like a midnight bourbon Mandaloun type race that we had last year at this time, right? I don't see what people are upset about. Slow Down Andy. We're going to see him.
Yep. Risen Star again.
Risen Star. Yep.
So stacked ass field, son.
Yeah, last time we saw him, he did beat Messier, who looked like a world beater just this past weekend. Yep. So we would expect to see Slow Down Andy pick up where he left off and probably be the favorite for the Risen Star here.
Yeah, that is a stacked field. I think
it is.
That's the race to watch all year here. So
yeah.
Number 3, we're doing Rattle and Roll. We've got some questions about Rattle and Roll, but until we get some answers, that horse is the cream of the crop, really.
What I keep hearing about Rattle and Roll is that this horse is being prepped for the Tampa Bay Derby. I mean, there's still some time between now and then. I really like this horse. I like what he's done so far. What is he? He ran a 99, won the Futurity. To me, this is the horse that I was looking at the odds today on HRN, was in that 20-1 shot range. If you're going to go something that isn't one of the top 3 horses in terms of odds, I think this is the horse that I like. Rattle and Roll. This is the horse that I think could be kind of an upset if you're not going to go with one of the Baffert juice monsters. We'll see.
Yeah. How do you approach the futures now? I haven't made a future bet this year because of the Baffert situation. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And Rattle and Roll, and up until now, Jack Christopher, you had like 5 of the top 10 or 15 horses all had big giant question marks. Rattle and Roll still does to me.
Oh yeah.
Hopefully we'll see him soon. Let's get to our top 2. Corniche, Baffert. What's happening? I mean, it feels like somebody trying to explain the state of the American, political spectrum right now. You can't say anything right without pissing off the other half of the world.
That's true.
And It's like, dude, and it's unfortunate because here's Corniche, another monster talent.
Yeah.
2-year-old champion going to the Risen Star, I think.
Looked really good winning the juvenile.
Yeah.
I mean, looked really good.
He hasn't done anything wrong, but
won the Pharaoh.
Unfortunately, we got the big red highlight on the Baffert.
Yep.
So I don't know. I think everybody knows enough about Corniche. Number 1, we still have Smile Happy, the Run Happy joint by Kenny McPeak.
Yeah. Winner of the Jockey Club Stakes. Yeah. Winner of the Jockey Club Stakes, beat Classic Causeway and a number of other horses that are on the list here. So he's taking care of business. You have him as going to the Risen Star. I had him as possibly going to the... Oh, never mind. That's past tense. Forget I said anything.
I don't know for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't imagine that the way that, in a lot of these were taken off either Blood Horse or HRN.
Yeah.
As far as the target. And I just can't imagine that. What do we have? 3, 4, 5 of the top 13 all going to the Risen Star. I think that'd be crazy for the ownership to even send them there. But if that happens, I mean, this is going to be the race that defines the Derby winner to me. If everything you see in the targeting column here is true and all these horses run the Risen Star, the winner of the Kentucky Derby is in that race at the fairgrounds.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I got to take back what I said about Slow Down Andy being the favorite. It would be Smile Happy if it's run today. I mean, I don't even think it's close between the two, although I do like Slow Down Andy a lot. Papa Cap, Sandon.
Awesome. I think that horse is, and there's no question marks around him. He's one of the ones that.
True.
Again, there's so many of these that have the Baffert question mark or a health question mark, like Rattle and Roll.
Yeah.
And we'll see. It's going to be awesome. It kind of makes it a little more exciting. It kind of sucks because the thing that concerns me the most is the Baffert stuff, because Messier and Corniche would be fun to watch.
Absolutely.
Along with Newgrange. I mean, we're not sure what Newgrange is. He beat a not that great Southwest Stakes field.
Still won it, though.
Yeah, he did. And that's a good event. And that's 3 of your top 10 that we just don't know what.
Right.
They're going to have to do something creative to get around the rules, and I hope they do. But I feel for the ownership and all the dudes and women that put the effort into these horses. And they're all sitting here with a once-in-a-lifetime dream horse in some cases. And now you got to worry about eligibility and all this crap. It's terrible.
But they had to know that going in, right? This is not something that happened overnight. They knew going in, if they pick this trainer, there's going to be not just a question mark, but they're going in not being in the Derby. So although he's the best, he also has question marks because, right, he's been dinged so many times for PEDs for these horses, for doping, right?
But I'm positive if these three owners on these 3 horses we're talking about with Corniche, Messier, and Newgrange, I guarantee you they would change or they would do something different now if they'd known. Because I mean,
if they knew like 2 years ago or whenever they started training.
Baffert's been on the clip for like 5 years for this stuff.
Yeah.
And this is the first year they're like, you're out. So I don't know. I feel for the teams, the connections there. So
maybe he's also whispering into their ear, telling them, "Look, we'll get there. Trust me. I've got a plan. I got lawyers. We're gonna fight this. They'll let me in. Don't worry. We'll just keep winning." At some
the
point, though, I
white-headed
gotta
Hitler will
think.
get him there. We'll see you at the Preakness, Bob.
Yeah.
I mean, it sucks, dude.
Yeah.
But hey, anything else before we close it out? I think we've covered it pretty well. It's actually, for what it's worth, it adds a little layer of drama, which is not a good layer, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Wish it wasn't scandal, but yeah, I'd like to see the horses just to see if they are what we think they are too. Because right, I mean, how many times have we gone into a derby with a Baffert horse, and we watched it around like, wow, that's a really good horse, or is it something else?
Messier like raised my eyebrows this week. I mean, I think
exactly.
I want to see him have a shot now. It sucks if he doesn't, but
and you hope it's real, but you also know that the question mark is there because it's been raised before. He's been caught so many times, and he's been caught with Derby contenders.
Hey, he murdered Medina Spirit last year, so we'll get through that another time.
So there you have it.
Hopefully they lay off some of these horses, and it gets, they clear up this issue and get the guy out of the sport. But
yeah.
All right, man. Good talk.
Good talk.
Be back hopefully next week with a little top 25 update.
Would love to.
Peace be with you.
Subscribe.
Take care.